Disappointments are difficult to deal with because it is not your expected result, something that is complete opposite of what you wanted. So how do you deal with it? Because it cannot be left unattended or it will grow into a big mountain and you'd have to deal with it later in life. It is better we identify and pluck it by the root at the start. Hello and welcome to Bible Love, and today we are addressing the question how to deal with disappointments. To start off with, let's remember how God deals with our disappointment. Yes, at some time or the other, we would have disappointed God. There is no one on the face of earth who can say that I have never disappointed God. So, in such scenarios, how does God deal with our disappointment? If you remember, there used to be these bracelets that were very popular for a while. WWJD. What would Jesus do? This is so essential to remember when we face disappointment. When you consider this question, ask in the right framework. Here is what I mean. What would Jesus do if I disappointed him? What would God do when you did that? How did He treat you? This is what you must remember when someone disappoints you. I must admit the natural inclination is to justify the pain and not treat them as Jesus would. In the long run, that ends up hurting you more than the ones who have actually disappointed you. Let me read to you from Colossians 3 verse 13 and 14. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. 1 John 4, 10 and 11 says, this is love, not that we loved God, but He loved us and sent His Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. Dear friends, since God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. So when you are disappointed, I hope that you would remind yourself of the great love God has showered upon us and the many sins that He has forgiven. It doesn't make the pain easier, but it gives you the right perspective to deal with it. Moving on, let's look at a particular scenario where someone in our church disappoints you. So, how do you handle it? I understand the church is not a place where we ought to disappoint another, but in reality, in our practical life, it does happen. So how do you deal with it? I know disappointment is not an easy emotion to deal with. In fact, the only way to remove all potential disappointments is to remove all expectations, and that's not very realistic. The best way forward is to recognize the potential to disappoint lives within you and everyone else you are around. Yes, even in the church. After all, the church is just a group of imperfect men and women trying to fulfill a perfect mission. You and I are included in that mix. So let's recognize that the reality of disappointment exists, but let's not deal with it in the most unbiblical way. Let's deal with it in an appropriate manner. If we do that, then what has the potential to destroy us can be the foundation for God to do something great. Yes, God has this great ability to change the things that actually meant evil into something great for us. Disappointments, as difficult as they may be, don't have to crush you. God has an overwhelming abundance of grace to carry you through even in the most challenging disappointments. I pray today you would find the help you need at the throne of grace. Good day and God bless.